Hey everybody, and welcome to our early comics review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this week. They are coming out on Wednesday, new comic book day, so you get a better idea about what you're coming in for, what kind of stuff is going to be on the wall, or if you shop with us over at infinityflux.net, you got a better idea of what you are picking up, because there's a lot of choices out there.
Oh, yeah.
So,
especially this week.
Yeah,
Oh
especially
my
this
gosh.
week there is a lot. So head on over to infinityflux.net right now. You can go ahead and order the books. All of these books are live while supplies last, so you can go ahead and order them, and you don't have to worry about them selling out or rushing in early on Wednesday to try to grab them, because you will already be set. So we've got, like you said, a lot of really big, awesome books. But before we get to them, go ahead and subscribe to our channel if you are not already, because that would really help us out. And if you enjoy comics, that's what we do around here, and so we would much appreciate it. But let's get into those periodicals.
We are going to start with
a big one.
Superman Unlimited, #1. If you picked up the free Comic Book Day book this year, you read the first 10 or so pages in this book. But if you don't know, Superman Unlimited is a brand new ongoing Superman series written by Dan Slott, and the art is by Raphael Albuquerque. And this is going to be the focal point, the main book that tells you what's going on with Superman and the Superman family in the present day. If you want to know like what the status quo of Superman is right now, this is going to be your main book to get to, and I will talk more about that in a minute. But about this issue itself, this issue starts, and again, if you read the free Comic Book Day book, you've seen some of these pages, but the issue starts with the Daily Planet. It's getting ready to expand and become this big global news organization. We see them preparing for that, and we also get several scenes of Superman just doing good deeds around Metropolis, saving people. There's a girl playing a song in the park, and he comes down and gives her a little tip and tells her how much he loves her music, which is, I love seeing that in Superman.
He says something like, I hear every new song that comes out, and you're really good.
Yeah, so
and you don't even see him, you just see his arm, and he hands her some money. I thought that was, that was
a
really
great scene. So we get a little bits like that. But then he gets an alert from the Justice League Watchtower that says there is a giant asteroid hurtling towards Earth, and if it isn't stopped, it's going to destroy the planet. You know, Superman's thinking, this is no big deal. I'm going to smash that thing into pieces.
Done that a couple of times.
Yeah, so he goes and he does smash it into pieces, but what does he find is that this giant asteroid is solid kryptonite, and that is no good.
No.
So he's trying to slow the descent of this kryptonite asteroid, and his life starts to flash before his eyes. And that's a lot of what this book is flashbacks of his life. From his time when he was a kid in Smallville to when he went off with the Legion of Superheroes, when he was Superboy, to his death at the hands of Doomsday, and marriage to Lois, and the birth of John, and that kind of thing. So a lot of this book is flashback scenes like that, because this book is meant to be extremely new reader friendly, but also accessible to longtime readers, and it succeeds in both of those. If you've never really read a Superman book, or if you want to read a current Superman book, this is a great one to get, because this catches you up with his entire life and then continues a new story going forward. So I don't want to tell you too much more. There is a few more things that happen in the back half of the book that I'll let you read for yourself. I will say that the overall story of at least this first story arc, if not the entire series, is because of this giant kryptonite asteroid that has now crashed into the Earth. Not destroyed, not like huge crash. He was able to slow it enough to where it wouldn't do too much damage. Because of this giant kryptonite asteroid, kryptonite is now much more plentiful than it was before. I kind of think about it as like vibranium in Marvel almost. Like, Wakanda's built around this big meteor that contained all this vibranium. But before this, kryptonite was pretty rare. Only villains like Lex Luthor could get their hands on it. But now, not necessarily in this issue, but in this first story arc, there are going to be lots of villains that have access to kryptonite. They mention like the Legion of Doom, I think, and Intergang, and even like your common bank robbers are now going to be able to get kryptonite bullets and kryptonite knives and things like that. So that is going to make Superman's job and the job of the super family much, much harder, because now all the bad guys can get their hands on kryptonite. It's not that scarce anymore, and there's something else that has come from this big wealth of kryptonite as well. But I'll let you see that for
And that
yourself.
kryptonite being plentiful is going to play into other books
That's
as
right.
well.
Yep.
So it's not just like, oh, it seems weird that this is going on here, but not over here. No, there's another book that's not out yet that we've read that does talk about the abundance of kryptonite now. So I do like that it's, this is going to be kind of a new status quo
Right.
and a new
Yeah.
threat for Superman and characters.
That's right. And so I mentioned that we were on a retailer call with Dan Slott and some folks from DC about a month ago, and they were sure to tell us that this is the kind of like the mainline book that's going to focus on Superman himself. Now you have Action Comics as well, which is going to be telling a pretty ongoing story about Superman's time as Superboy in Smallville. So that's going to kind of take place in the past. And then you have Joshua Williamson's Superman book as well. And that also deals with Superman in the present day, but that's going to deal more with things that are affecting the larger DC universe. You have the Dark Legion and all this stuff coming that was teased in Superman number 25. This book is pretty much just confined to what's going on with Superman, but the things that happen in here will be kind of referenced in other spots as well. They have done a very, very good job of making the Superman books feel connected. Because there is a little bit of a flashback to Superman's time as a young man in Smallville. We're getting that in Action Comics. So all of these Superman books are gelling together really well, and then they are also gelling really well with the larger DC universe. So fantastic job to the folks at DC for making all this feel cohesive. And yeah, a brand new Superman book to go with the other two that we have that are also very excellent. So we are 3 for 3 on really cool Superman books. I highly recommend this if you are a longtime reader of Superman or a brand new reader. Get this and then keep going, because there's also a very, very surprise ending, very shocking ending that I don't know what it means or how it happened or what does that mean going forward. Like, lots of questions, but a very shocking ending. And there's going to be some crazy stuff going on in this series too. If you look ahead to the covers for issues 2, 3, and 4, especially number 4, you'll see something very crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. I cannot wait to get more into this series. They've done a phenomenal job.
And Raphael Albuquerque's art in this is so good. If you know him from stuff like American Vampire, and he's also doing Huck 2 right now.
That's right. Yeah.
With Mark Miller. Fantastic artwork in this, and it feels A tier comics.
Yep.
So.
Very highly recommended. I loved it, and I can't wait for more. So this is our A cover right here. We have is that Frank Quiley? It is Frank Quiley. Yeah, very Frank Quiley cover. We have this Lionel Francis U cover. This is our Furama variant. Superman taking some bullets and shrugging them off. I love this one. This is our Dan Mora Superman movie variant with Superman and James Gunn. I pre-ordered this one, I hope. We have a blank sketch variant. And we have a couple of incentives. This is the 1 in 25 David Raposa that we're selling for $9.99. And then we have the 1 in 50 Christian Ward variant that we're selling for $19.99. Yeah, great start to a great new Superman story.
I'm excited to have 3 Superman books, all with their own lanes to be in.
Yep.
And, we'll be getting Superman multiple times a month.
That's right.
Which is always great.
Which is almost how it was in the 90s. We had 4 ongoings back then. We had one every week, so there was no lack of Superman books.
Wait till they launch Man of Steel or
right.
Right. So, first up for me, I have Spider-Man and Wolverine #1. This is, I believe, a miniseries, right?
I think so.
It's really hard to tell with Marvel because they don't always initially announce if things are ongoing or a miniseries or how many issues it is or whatever. But this does feel like a confined story, at least for right now. So this is by Mark Guggenheim, and the art is by Kari Andrews, which Kari Andrews did this cover, and this is what the interior looks like. It is very bombastic 90s, a little bit of like a Joe Moderea.
I always think Todd McFarlane when I see Kara Andrews. His Spider-Man just kind of looks like that to me.
Yeah, so this is really fun though, and I didn't know what to expect out of it, but I didn't expect it to be as action-packed and as like page-turning fun.
Yeah.
So in this, Wolverine gets confronted by someone. I guess it's kind of an old frenemy,
Yeah.
co-worker, something like that, uh, who basically says, "Hey, I know your past for the most part, and I think you would be the right person for this job. There has been this dossier or this data file or something that has gone missing. It used to be in the custody of Shield, but since Shield disbanded, it's kind of up for grabs right now." And it contains the real identity of every undercover agent, past and present, and every mission they have been on, which does include Wolverine. And we do, because Wolverine talks about, like, there was a time I worked for Red Skull, and
Yeah.
I'm not proud of it,
Yeah.
type thing, and I don't want this getting out. But also, a lot of innocent people could come under a lot of danger because if this gets out. And so Wolverine is basically like, okay, yeah, I'll take this, but he will need some help. And we do catch up with Peter Parker, who is once again late for a date, but with Shay,
Yep.
his current girlfriend in Amazing Spider-Man. So it kind of feels like, oh, this is kind of going on right now.
Yeah.
Until that date gets broken up by Wolverine, of course, on a motorcycle, and basically says, "Hey, I need your help because you're a dork and you are a sciencey guy, and I think
Yeah.
you can help find this file." And so they are going to go together to a, I don't want to say where it is, but it's really cool, and it's, it's something we haven't seen in a while,
Yeah.
place we haven't seen in a while, where they're going to find this, but not before they are come in contact with a team up of their own villains, and it's pretty fun to see Spider-Man go up against a Wolverine villain and Wolverine go up against a Spider-Man villain, which I'm sure one of those we've probably never seen before
Yeah.
because it's a weird matchup.
Seeing those two villains together was really cool, and it was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't seen them together before.
Yeah, so that's really cool. There's a lot of action, and then there's something that happens during the fight. I don't want to give it away, but it is one of the coolest
Visually, it's awesome.
visually,
Yeah.
like it's a feast to kind of piece through this collage of images.
And it went on for like 3 pages as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool stuff to look at. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun story, but really it bumps it over the edge with Kari Andrews' art and how
Mhm.
much fun that is. Um, but I will say there is something within those files that may rock Peter Parker's world in a way that I was not expecting, and may make friends into enemies.
Yeah, I was very shocked. It's kind of revealed at the end. I was a little bit shocked by it, and I don't know if it's gonna like end up staying true. But if it is, like, it could have like lasting ramifications for both Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So we'll be interested to see if that, like, if it persists all the way through, and if if by the end, by the time this thing's done, if they haven't said, "Oh yeah, that was not real," then I'm gonna be like, "Whoa, that's a big deal."
That feels like something we need to address at
Right,
some
right,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I really, really like this issue. There was I don't know, there was a fun like Olivia Rodrigo reference. It felt
Yeah.
very like modern and everything. So I definitely recommend this.
Yeah, it was
I
good.
did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did.
And this is not connected to anything else going on in
Yeah.
the Marvel universe right now. So if you haven't picked up a Spider-Man or Wolverine book in a long time, you can still pick this up and read it. You don't need to know anything about anything. Just pick it up and read it. It's
Other
great.
than Shay being Peter's current girlfriend,
Yeah.
nothing about this kind of cements it in a certain time.
Right.
So yeah, it feels very classic. It feels, honestly, like very like 90s
Mhm.
X-Men time frame,
This
Spider-Man
this
timeline.
absolutely could have come out in the '90s, especially with Spider-Man and Wolverine, who were the two biggest characters
Yeah.
back then. This could have easily have been a '90s book.
Yeah, so very much recommend this one. A whole lot of fun. We've got some great variants for this as well. So we've got this Clayton Crane variant. We've got this. This is maybe what it would look like in the 90s. This Mark Bagley variant. We also have this one. This is awesome. This is a Dyke Ruin foil cover.
That is
looks
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
And their eyes are also foil.
Oh yeah, I
So
didn't see that.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Then we've got some incentives. We have a 1 in 25 Marquez variant that we're selling for $14.99. And we have this really nice Nick Bradshaw variant. It's a 1 in 50. We're selling for $24.99.
Yeah.
A lot going on there, and I love that.
Yeah, I was very happy with this series. We've had so many like Deadpool Wolverine series. When I saw this, and I'm like, gosh, another Wolverine team up book.
Yeah.
But I read it, and I was like, that was awesome. Like, give me issue 2 right now. It's great.
Yeah. More books like that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I've got a new one from Marvel. This is The Thing #1. This has been delayed for a while, I think, but now it's finally here. And I think this is also a mini series, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think it's like maybe 5 issues.
Yeah, probably. So this is written by Tony Fleecs and the art is by Justin Mason. And this issue starts with this radio broadcast that is stating that somebody is offering $10 million to anyone who can take down the Thing. And at the end of the issue, we do find out who made that offer, and it's very, very cool. But then most of this issue takes place. Well, most of the issue is not about that, though. It cut to, the Fantastic Four returning from the negative zone where they were fighting some big monsters. Ben is exhausted and he goes to bed, but he only gets to sleep for a few minutes before somebody knocks on his door, and it's a man named Marty who Ben knew from his childhood. And Marty wants Ben's help to find his sister's child, his sister's daughter, his niece, basically, because he said that she is disappeared. Nobody can find her. And at first, Ben says no because Marty was really mean to him in school. But then he remembers Marty's sister, Sherlee, was always really nice to him. So he agrees to help. And I can't imagine that Ben would say no to finding a child anyway. Yeah. But his knee-jerk reaction was like, you were a jerk to me when we were young. Get out of my face. So Ben does agree to help find this child. And they go to meet somebody in a bar who Marty says might have some information. But the person they're meeting turns out that it's a classic Marvel villain. And I won't tell you who it is, but we haven't seen them in a while. It's really cool. But this is a villain who does not have super strength and who should not be able to go toe-to-toe with the Thing. Mm-hmm. But that character is able to. And it seems that something was done to them, and it may have been involuntarily to give them great strength. And it results in this big fight between Ben and this villain. And so I won't tell you too much more than that, but the end of the issue does lead us back around to the beginning where we find out who placed the bounty on the head on Ben's head. And so the main story of this is going to be Ben trying to find this little girl and reading ahead to the other solicitations. I think it seems that like more people have gone missing, so it's going to become a bigger thing than what Ben was expecting. So he's going to have to try to find this little girl and these other missing people, all while taking on these other villains that are coming after him because they want this $10 million reward. So it was really cool. It's almost all Ben Grimm. The Fantastic Four are only in it just for a page or two, but it's all of him. I love having a good solo Thing book. He's my favorite member of the Fantastic Four. This does seem a little bit more grounded of a story than what we usually get when one or more of the Fantastic Four are involved. But yeah, it was really cool. The person that we see at the end, I'm really excited because that's not somebody you normally associate with the Thing. Yeah. So it's really cool to see them, and I can't wait to see what villains come out of the woodwork to try to take him down. So that's our A cover right there. We have this Greg Land variant, and we have this a Ben Sue variant. It's almost like the window shades variant, but not quite.
Of course, there's talk of Yancey Street and the Yancey Street gang.
Oh,
and all that kind of stuff in here.
That's classic.
Classic Ben Grimm stuff. Well, next up, I've got a big one for the week. This is Absolute Flash #3. And I described this in our shorter video as you could almost see issues 1, 2, and 3 as kind of a big issue 1 or the origin, or they all just they all probably take place within a very short amount of time.
That's exactly the note that I made. Was now that this is over, I kind of feel like the sort of introductory period is over, and then next issue kind of feels like it probably will. The larger story will start next issue.
Yeah. So this, without giving too much away, kind of rounds out this first story arc. So in this, we see something that has happened now that Wally has taken off running, and I don't want to even allude to it too much, but it's pretty shocking that there is something else going on as he's running. Maybe there's something chasing or being pulled by him as he is running. But I won't say what it is, but it's very cool and kind of creepy. And we do see that the facility that Wally's dad works for and that the rogues are kind of part of and everything send Grodd, little gorilla Grodd, after Wally as kind of I don't know if they think it's like he's a little sneakier, he's smaller, that kind
Well,
of stuff.
I took it as his mental powers. They think that his mental powers can find Wally.
Yeah, and probably better than the rogues
Right,
can, the
right,
way
right.
that
Yeah,
they've been busting in there
yeah.
and stuff. But when Grodd gets there, it actually goes a different way. And when Grodd's little monkey brain touches Wally's, you actually see that their stories, their growing up and everything, are very similar,
Hmm.
and it might actually create a bond between the two that I'm very interested to see where it goes. But of course, the rogues are also right on the tail of, no pun intended, right on the tail of Wally and Grodd. And I don't want to say too much more than that, but this is a very quick issue to read, but
Ah,
there is a
well, it
lot.
is the Flash, so
Yeah,
yeah.
but there is a lot of character development and setup for what I think is going to be a bigger part of this series.
Hmm.
I really liked it, and yeah,
And I loved the final page.
yeah, final page is a great cap of these first three issues
Yep.
that are very much like, and here we go type
Yep.
thing. So, once again, highly recommend Absolute Flash. It is a lot of fun, and especially with this third issue, rounding everything up. Kind of our cast of characters, for the most part, are set.
Yep.
But there is bigger mysteries out there as well.
There is also another very well-known Flash-related character named in this book as well,
Yeah,
and I look forward to seeing if that character plays a bigger role in the future in
yeah,
some
I
way.
did notice that when someone said a character's name, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah. Oh, so that character is here also.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's been a fun part of the Absolute books is just little name drops and stuff.
Yeah.
Once again, Absolute Batman #9.
Oh.
Be there for that
Yep.
for a good dose of
For
that.
several of them. Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait now that I feel like we're at, like you said, we're at past the introductory period and we are full steam ahead into what this book is going to be about. I'm looking forward to him going to new locations,
Yep.
facing new villains,
Mhm.
you know, supporting characters, all that kind of stuff coming in next.
We do know of another Flash supporting character that's going to appear. I want to say in issue number 6.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're getting some more at some point.
Yes. So here is your A cover for that. We have this Haining cover. We've got this, I believe this is also Clayton Crane
Yeah, that's great.
cover. We have this 1 in 25 Travis Moore variant. You kind of got a whole cast of characters on there. And we have a 1 in 50 Haining Virgin variant we're selling for $24.99. Absolute books are still heating up. Great stuff coming.
Oh yeah, they're great. All right, well I've got a new book from Mad Cave called "Whatever Happened to the Crimson Justice." This is the first issue. I think it's going to be a 4 or 5 issue miniseries. This is written by Frank Thierry and the art is by Inaki Miranda. And this story takes place in Empire City, that up until 1985 was protected by a masked vigilante known as the Crimson Justice. His sidekick Reddy. There were some other heroes who were inspired by the Crimson Justice, like Scarlet Girl, Black Knight, and some others. And they defended the city from bad guys like Dr. Mayhem and others. However, all of the heroes and villains disappeared after something called the Great Hospital Fire of 1985. And now they are just things of urban legend. When somebody mentions, oh, yeah, remember when the city used to be protected by the Crimson Justice? Somebody else might say, that's a tall tale. That's an
Yeah.
urban legend. No, that didn't really happen. So we learn about all of this stuff while we are introduced to an old man named John Redding, who owns a coffee shop in Empire City. And one morning he sees a news report that about the murder of the former police commissioner, who is a man named Ted Burke. He was murdered by somebody claiming to be Dr. Manhattan, who was supposed to have been gone a long time ago. And there's more to this story than I'm telling you, but This was really cool. Not really any action in this whatsoever. It's mostly a setup issue introducing us to the setting and the characters and the history of this city and that kind of thing. But it's really cool because it had this pulp hero kind of vibe, and it's a story about an old retired hero who's got to come out of retirement to take down a villain who he thought was gone a long time ago. And it's really cool. It just has that really cool pulp feel. The artwork in this is really cool, and I love the character designs. There's a nice double page spread of Crimson Justice and Reddy and Dr. Mayhem, and just kind of gives you an idea about what it was like back then. Really, really well done. So I'm definitely looking forward to more because I want to see the Crimson Justice back in action, taking on. I have a theory about this person claiming to be Dr. Mayhem. They've returned after so many years. I have a theory about who that might be. So really cool stuff, though. I really, really enjoyed this. Mad Cave always does a great job with their books. So this is our A cover right here, and we have this Joe Quesada variant, which is really cool. And we have this Dan Panosian variant, and that is Scarlet Girl. We just see her in a flashback or two. But yeah, can't wait to see this one go forward some more.
Well, next up, I've got our next entry in our J. Michael Straczynski's. You always know the name of it. What are these called?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, the
I just always call them like weird team ups or something.
Yeah. I don't know if there's an official name, but they are.
There is a trade paperback coming in a few months that collect all of these, and it's called Marvel Tales.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it does very much have a Marvel Tales feel. Marvel Tales meets like 2-in-1
Yeah,
thing.
right.
Some of the issues are verses, some of them are team ups. Well, this one is Hulk and Doctor Strange, so like all of them, this is written by J. Michael Straczynski. This actually has 2 stories in it. The first one, the art is by Jermaine Peralta, and this is Bruce Banner goes to visit Stephen Strange at the Sanctum Sanctorum, and something's been on his mind. He asked Doctor Strange about when I got hit with the gamma and all that kind of stuff. The way I changed is different. So he talks about like what's the example he gets?
Well,
someone who gets a lot of money.
Yeah, he says like if a good person gets a lot of money, they're still a good person. But if a terrible person comes into a fortune, they're even worse.
Yeah, like good people get better, worse people get worse. And he says like my cousin Jen, she was a great attorney, but she got the Hulk powers and she became an even better person and a hero and still an attorney. Amadeus Cho was a good kid, and then he got the Hulk powers, or now he's Brawn, and he's still doing great things, even better. And Abomination, he's like, we don't even have to talk about how that guy was, but he was bad, and it became even worse. And now Bruce Banner's wondering, with me, what am I? A more extreme version of myself?
Yeah.
Is it am I at heart, am I a monster?
Yeah, right. Yeah, because he's like, because I thought I was a pretty good guy, but then I turned into this big rage monster. Whereas everybody else, if they were good, they just got better, but I got worse.
Yeah.
So what does that say about who I was before all this?
Yeah. So this is a very kind of personal story to Bruce Banner, and Doctor Strange basically says, "I know what you're wanting. You're wanting me to send you back in time to, I guess, witness that moment and really understand who you were the moment you transformed into the Hulk when the gamma blast went off and everything." And he's like, I can't send you completely back, but I can kind of astral project you back so you can witness that. And so a lot of this is Bruce Banner revisiting kind of the Hulk #1 story of him being a scientist. Rick Jones goes out onto the blast field or whatever, and he runs out to save him and stuff. And he and in this version, he can also hear people's thoughts.
Yeah.
And so he can kind of figure out what's going on with everybody else who's in the room and everything. But I won't say how this comes about, but there is kind of an explanation to why he is the way he is when he is the Hulk that I thought was a really interesting, thoughtful look at the character. The second story in here is the team up of Agatha Harkness and Aunt May. The art in this one is by Natasha Bustos, and this one's fun because Aunt May and a woman named Meredith uh, are the newest members to Agatha's book club
Yeah.
at, I guess, her house. That they go and they all sit around and they're like, we like to read a chapter from this book that we're reading. They're reading a Stephen King book, and they're like, the latest Stephen King
Oh
book,
yeah.
which I thought was funny. And Meredith volunteers to read. And they're like, "Oh, nice! You're a new member, and you're already, you're gonna start us off reading the first chapter." And it starts off like a normal story until she starts saying some weird stuff. Uh, Very Lovecraftian summoning spell invoking Yog-Sothoth and saying like Ia Ia Cthulhu Fhtagn, which is all
Oh,
Lovecraft.
I didn't pick up
Yeah,
on
that
any of
is.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was like eating it up because like Yog-Sothoth is the like elder god of doorways and stuff like that. So that was really cool. And of course, something's going on here. Maybe they're not reading from Stephen King, but maybe she started reading from the Necronomicon, and Agatha and Aunt May will actually team up to fight whatever's coming through this doorway, which was really fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really fun story. And it's not portraying Agatha as evil or anything like that.
Yeah.
She's not a villain. She's,
And she's old woman Agatha.
yeah, they
Yeah.
didn't try to be like, oh, it's like MCU Agatha. It's like, no, her and Aunt May are like
Yeah.
kind of the same age, looking at least. But yeah, this was a fun issue. It wasn't my favorite of this run, but I did like the two stories in it, and yeah, seeing like two of the original Defenders together
Yeah.
is always fun. And the next issue is the Galactus Ghost Rider
Right.
issue, which I'm very much looking forward to. So once again, another great little team up book, and I wish we got a lot more of these kind of books as
Yeah.
well, because I think it's just fun seeing these two heroes on a mission together. So there is your A cover by Terry Dodson, and we also have a Peralta variant with a bunch of cool versions of Hulk.
Yep. All right. Well, I've got the Ultimates number 12. And just things are just ramping up more and more. Now, I will. There's no action in this one. I will say, this entire issue features the Ultimates coming together to discuss the fact that nothing that they have done so far has gotten them any closer to fixing the world, which is why they came together in the first place, and how they are also woefully unprepared for when the Maker's Dome opens in 6 months, because they got their butts kicked when they tried to go up against Hulk.
By one member of the council.
Yeah, well, there were other Hulks there, other like cronies there too, right?
Yeah, but they were his underlings, but there's still all the like bigger council characters
Right.
that it's like they probably have cronies too.
Yeah. So they're just like, what are we gonna do, guys? This whole Ultimates experiment thing is not working. So while they're meeting, Doom tells them the truth about what really happened during that fight with the Hulk, and I think we kind of they hinted at it in a previous issue. I won't tell you what that truth is, but they don't know about it, and we don't either, because there are POV in this book, right? So if they don't witness something, we don't witness it either. But something happened during that fight that they were not aware of, that Doom had to tell them about. And they're like, I can't believe that happened. That's really weird and kind of disturbing. So I'll let you read that for yourself. I will say that eventually they do kind of they do come together and make a plan about what to do going forward. And given what we know about future issues of this series, I can't wait to see how those issues kind of, and maybe like some of the new characters we know we're getting, how maybe that's part of the plan that they establish going forward. We also see a little bit more of Nick Fury and Hand, who we saw in the Ultimate Universe 1 Year In book. We learned that the Ultimates have a traitor in their midst, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, just more world building here. There's about 6 months left before the Maker comes out of his dome, which all the books are kind of getting ready for, I feel like. So yeah, just getting ready for that. What I'm sure will be a big story. But yeah, another cool issue of Ultimates. So we have our A cover right here. We have this awesome In-Hyuk Lee cover, which this is the one I got. This does not happen in this book, and I still am not convinced that that's Tony Stark in that armor.
Especially because of some conversations that happen
Right.
about who maybe would be in the position to wear that armor.
Yeah, so don't expect to see this in this book, but it might happen, in another couple issues or so. We'll have to see. And then we have this Sanford Green variant, which is really nice. And then we have our 1 in 25 Elena Casagrande variant that we're selling for $19.99 with one Doom.
Well, next up, I've got a new Spawn Universe book. This is Spawn Universe: The Curse of Shirley Johnson, #1. This is interesting. This was renamed something different.
Yeah.
We talked about this on our Comics from the Future book months and months
Forever
ago.
ago, yeah.
And then it got delayed. It had got a name change. And then it's finally out. And because of that, I believe this single issue turned into a double issue. So you do get, I mean, there's even a part that's like, part 2, and it feels like you're reading a whole nother, like a second issue. This is by Daniel Herniquez, and the art is by Jonathan Glapion, which this looks so much like classic Spawn,
Nice.
which I love.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Glapion was the inker for Greg Capullo for a long time.
Okay.
And so a lot of what you think of as Greg Capullo's art is actually Jonathan Glapion's inking over it. So he has a very similar style to Greg Capullo, who's, of course, maybe even more noteworthy. If you think of Spawn, you're probably thinking of a Capullo Spawn than actually a McFarlane Spawn. So this follows up, actually starts during the events of Spawn issue #5. That's where we met Shirley Johnson, who was, I don't want to say a throwaway character, but she was a victim of Billy Kincaid, the first big villain in Spawn, who is a horrible character, kind of deserved everything that Spawn gave him in the end. But in this, we actually see those events from her perspective, or a little bit afterwards, and she's just a little girl, but she kind of knows that she died in that time, but she is reliving that moment over and over, and she sees Spawn arrive, and she kind of doesn't like Spawn because she's like, he went in there and dealt with Billy Kincaid, but he didn't even look for me. But she's seen this over so many times, but one time she sees it and she said it feels a little bit different this time, like she's more powerful or she has more strength. And we actually see her and she has the like face painting of Violator, like the clown. You'll see that on one of the variant covers. And we learn that maybe she was in hell the whole time. It has something to do with the events in Spawn 301 with that necro bomb that went off and all of that. But she meets up with a partner in hell, and you'll have to find out what happens from there. But seems like a pretty cool premise. That's just issue 1, and this does kind of have that issue 2 in there where we learn way more. We meet way more characters, including this guy, who still kind of a mystery, but we do know his name, and it is something kind of familiar. But this is fun because so part of it does take place in hell, the Spawn universe of hell, which is full of all these monsters and demons and that kind of stuff, and it feels very much like almost like you take Spawn but add kind of a what did I put, like Diablo feel to it, like the game Diablo, like it's more of a landscape of monsters and that kind of stuff than Spawn's story on Earth. But this, yeah, really good. Jonathan Glapion's art is fantastic in it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes because I thought this was a very strong start to a new Spawn book that feels very classic as well. So there is your A cover, and it is a $5.99 issue, but like I said, it is like double size. Here is your Todd McFarlane variant, and this is what she looks like. She's got her little teddy bear and everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's got that Violator face paint, which we don't quite know why, because she acts nice, but definitely there's something else going on here. We also have this black and white sketch version of the McFarlane cover. And we have, this was really interesting. So this is the 1 in 10 incentive variant for Shirley Johnson #1, but it is not the same book. It's because the 1 in 10 is not a variant. It is a reprint of Spawn #5, where this story takes place initially in the beginning.
That's interesting. So yeah, it's Spawn #5.
Yeah.
But it's the 1 in 10 incentive for this book that you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, if you get the A cover, Or if you get the incentive, you'll want to get the A cover because it is a different book. This is
Yeah.
not just a cover. This is the full thing, and we are selling that for $5.99.
Were you gonna do Medieval
Oh
Spawn?
yeah, and I did want to mention real quick, Medieval Spawn issue number 2 is out this week as well. So double dose of Spawn universe. This one's really fun. Medieval Spawn goes up against a giant ogre in it, and a like whole kingdom worth of knights is sent to hunt Medieval Spawn down. So if you enjoyed the first issue, you'll definitely want to pick up issue number 2 of that. And this is the only cover I have.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, I'm going to talk about Incredible Hulk number 25. I have not read this series since issue number 10. I dropped off around issue 10 or so, but I wanted to check this one out because, I mean, look at the cover. The Hulk versus Thor. Like, I'm always going to read a story like that. And I was not disappointed in this issue whatsoever. Now, I will say also that even though I have not read this book in over a year, I did not feel lost. Marvel does a great job with their, they always have like, and that's not always the front page, but there's always a page near the front that gives you like a synopsis of what's been going on. And that page did a great job sort of catching me up or telling me what I needed to know anyway, because there were some things in here that I didn't know had happened. So Thor actually comes to Earth looking for Charlie, who has been the Hulk's traveling companion throughout this whole series, because he thinks that she is this ancient beast that he fought a long time ago in Asgard, and he wants to take her back there. And like I didn't really understand that, but the summary near the beginning explains that at some point in the book she put on this like magical like wolf skin or something, and it turned her in, or it gave her the ability to turn into this giant beast. It kind of looks like a werewolf with wings. If you've been reading the series, you're screaming at me right now because I'm getting it all wrong. But the synopsis at the beginning told me enough of what I needed to know that I did not feel lost whatsoever. So Thor thinks that she is this monster, and she is a monster. I guess I don't know if it's exactly the same one, but so obviously, but he comes to Earth and says, "Hey, you're that monster that I fought. You got to come back to Asgard with me." And of course, the Hulk is like, "No, she's my buddy. You can't take her." And then that leads to a giant knockdown drag out fight between Thor and the Hulk, which lasts most of the issue. And it is awesome. The artwork is so good. Nick Klein is on art. I didn't write down the name of the colorist, but the colors are great too. There are some big hits. There is one big double page spread of something that the Hulk does to hit Thor, which is really cool. There's something really cool that Thor does with the hammer, but Hulk tries to get it, and like the whole thing is just a giant fight between Hulk and Thor, and it was awesome. And I like enough to make me like start reading this book again because at the end, there's something at the end that looks like it might be starting to set up for the upcoming new Avengers book that we talked about on Comics from the Future a couple weeks ago. We know that Hulk is going to be on that team, and I was like, wow, that's weird. Hulk has been a horror book for the last couple of years, and now he's on a new Avengers team. I wonder why that is. Well, the next couple issues may tell us why that is, and we see a little bit of that at the end of this. So I loved it. I was not expecting to love it as much as I did. I dropped off it because I wasn't really wanting, I don't really want my Hulk books to be horror books. But this was awesome. So if you kind of just want to check out a really cool Hulk book, or you want to see a big cool fight between Hulk and Thor, like get this one.
A cover that doesn't lie.
A cover that does not lie, and it looks like this. And this happens, like it was really cool. And so yeah, pick this up. Even if you haven't been reading it, just read that introductory page. It'll tell you everything you need to know. And I thought this was fantastic and just wanted to tell you about it. So we have our really awesome A cover right there, and we have the Alex Ross Timeless variant. We have the Impossible Man variant, which kind of looks like the A cover, but you see the Impossible Man on there. Those have been really fun. We have the really cool Christian Russo variant. That is number 20. Yeah, number 25. I want to make sure this wasn't like a facsimile. But Wolverine's not in this, but just a really fun cover. And then we have this great 1 in 25 Paulo Siqueira variant that we're selling for $19.99 of another scene of Hulk messing up Thor. This was awesome. Like, this is what comic books should be. Like, a kid would want to read this. Like, it was just an awesome fight.
Well, next up, I've got Amazing Spider-Man number 4, and continuing this very interesting first story arc of Amazing Spider-Man, and it feels very much like a Silver Bronze Age story with the idea of Hobgoblin has been drugging these sodas being made. It feels like such a almost quaint idea,
Right.
like a very a street level
That's why you
villain
got to
thing
stick
to
to
do.
water, kids.
Uh, but it's a kind of a funny idea that I'm just glad it's not like Spider-Man in space
Right,
fighting
right.
galactic gods or something like that. It's him dealing with Hobgoblin and Itsy Bitsy. So in this, we know that Spider-Man is still drugged from. He got like a super dose of this drug. It's kind of hallucinogenic. It causes him to have kind of flashes of possibly true memories. Sometimes they're a little skewed. He'll wake up and not know where he is, that kind of stuff. But we do find out that the guy that Peter Parker is now working for, his childhood friend, also figures out that these sodas have been drugged and they're going to work on an antidote. But Hobgoblin might get to them before they can do that. And most of this issue is Peter kind of confronting some of his past and some of his memories and his inner demons and stuff through this hallucinogenic thing he has. But he's seeing um, his time growing up with Aunt May and Uncle Ben, seeing kind of this rebellious stage he had in his early life, and circling around to what Aunt May and Uncle Ben really mean to him. And it's really nice. It's first it's a little shocking to see him talk to them in a certain
Right.
way and everything, but you realize that he had a rebellious period like a lot of kids do, and that was pretty cool. There's still tons of action in this
Mm-hmm.
as Itsy Bitsy is still fighting Peter and going crazy, and she's kind of off her hinges a little bit. That's really interesting to see during a fight. And yeah, I think maybe there's like one more issue in this story arc. It
I
feels like
believe
it's
so.
it's there's definitely a moment of like, okay, the clock's ticking.
Yeah.
Can you get here before this and all that kind of stuff. But I thought it was really good. The art is still phenomenal.
Yeah.
Top tier Spider-Man art by Pepe Larraz. And yeah, so far so good. I'm really enjoying this Amazing Spider-Man run. And there is your A cover. We've also got our Alex Ross Timeless variant.
Captain Marvel does not show up
He
in
is
this
not
issue.
in this. We have our Trillo variant.
I like that a
That's
lot.
really cool. We've got our Impossible Man variant, which looks a lot like the A cover, but with Impossible Man. And we also have some incentives. This is the 1 in 25 Greg Land variant. We're selling for $12.99. And there is a 1 in 100 uh, of the sketch of the Alex Ross that we are selling for $49.99.
Oops, wasn't paying attention. Sorry. All right, we've got Vision and Scarlet Witch #1, and this is from Steve Orlando, and the art is by Lorenzo Tometa. And in this book, there are these magical, mysterious black doors that are popping up in cities all over the country, and it's compelling. Like when somebody walks past one of these doors, it sort of calls to them and compels them to enter. And we cut to Wanda. She is dealing with a group of bikers who are much more than they appear to be. And they are actually trying to go into one of these doors. And she's trying to prevent that since it's not known what these doors really are. Nobody really knows yet what is on the other side of those doors. We see what's on the other side of those doors later, but I won't tell you what it is. And she's holding her own against these bikers. Which sounds like she should be able to wipe them out quickly, but like I said, they're much more than they appear to be. And Vision shows up to help her deal with them. And after this fight with these bikers, Vision tells Wanda that she doesn't have to deal with these doors alone; that he is there to help her. And there's something that she tells Vision about these doors and like a feeling that she got about them that triggers a memory file in Vision's brain, and he realizes that these doors have a connection to a classic Marvel villain. I won't tell you who it is, but if you look ahead to issue #2, you'll see that villain on the cover. And then later in the book, we do get some really cool action between Vision and that villain. And something very shocking happens that I was not expecting. And I do kind of wonder if it will persist into other books. Because remember, Vision and Scarlet Witch are also members of the Avengers right now.
Yeah.
And we've also got One World Under Doom going on. So I don't know how it's all going to sort of meld together. And there was a really cool ending to it too. That again, I wonder if we'll see the effects of the ending of this in other books. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I really like this. I liked the first of the Scarlet Witch series that came out that kind of kicked off this new era of books for her. But I kind of lost interest because I never really felt like she was in any danger. Everything that happened to her, she was able to just sort of wave her hand and fix. When her bookstore was completely demolished, she literally just like waved her hand and the whole thing came back. When she got the tar beat out of her physically by another villain, when the fight was over, she just waved her hand and all of her injuries were healed, and she healed the villain that she was fighting too. And I just kind of thought that was dull. It's like, well, there are no stakes in this book at all. She can just wave her hand and everything's fine. She felt almost omnipotent.
Mhm.
But in this book, she doesn't quite feel that way. I don't know if, like, over the course of the other couple of series that I haven't read, maybe her powers kind of got balanced out or something. But she didn't feel quite as godlike in this as she has in other books. So I felt like there was a little bit more stakes. It was a little bit more exciting. Of course, the Vision being in it, I thought was really cool because I love the Vision, and it's cool to see the two of them together. So yeah, I was really into this. The artwork is very, very good. We had some good action. Like, I was totally into this. And given the way this ended, I'm definitely going to check out the next one. So we have our A cover right here. And we have this Hans variant. And we have our Alex Ross Timeless variant. Quicksilver does not appear, but it makes sense that he's on that cover. We have this really cool Casanova's foil variant. That's kind of homaging, I want to say, Avengers 363 from back in the 90s that had a gold foil embossed cover with the Vision coming out just like this. That was really cool. I still have mine in my long boxes. And we have a 1 in 25. Shoot, I don't have the artist on this one, but this is the 1 in 25 that we're selling for $14.99. Very classic Vision and Scarlet Witch right there.
So next up, I have one of my favorite books coming out. This
Oh
is
yeah.
Bug Wars #4, and this. So they are calling this first 6 issues book one. So I
Mm-hmm.
do hope this goes for a long time because I love this world they've set up in Bug Wars. In this one, Slade and Wista, the kind of spider witch mite that we've met, are making their way across the yard to go to Wista's home. It's called Weird Web, I believe.
Yeah.
Because she promises that they can help him return home and get this amulet off of him and everything. But secretly, she knows that he will not survive that. And so she's a little conflicted along the way about taking him there and what's going to happen to him and everything. But we do learn a bit more about her backstory and kind of a love that she had to leave behind and all that. So it does add a little bit more to her backstory. But eventually they do reach the Mode Lands, which we saw created in the first one, where Slade's brother, who is now kind
Oh,
of
that's
their
right.
big villain
Yeah.
in the whole thing that everyone hates, where he mowed and it's just decimated this land and
Yeah,
it's
he mowed that grass way too short, you
like
know?
down to the dirt.
Yeah.
And so they must cross this, and now this has become kind of a barren, scary land where they're gonna run up against what were they called, the Wasp
Hmm.
Raiders, which are just a horrible kind of once again kind of very like Mad Max but on wasps type characters. They also go up against a praying mantis, but the praying mantis has like people like skewered
Yeah.
on its spikes and stuff. There's more things they fight because it's a good like kind of travel sequence of all the things they have to face. But eventually they are going to make it to the weird web, and you'll have to see what happens when they get there. But it's not looking good for Slade in this book. And yeah, just fantastic. More world building. More of those backup pages where you get some more world building stuff on the different races and the different creatures in the backyard. And I can't wait to see where it goes next because this was a great issue. And so we've got our A cover right here. And we have a Jorge Corona variant as well. Still haven't seen Slade wear that armor,
Oh yeah, they're running out of
but
time. I
but
want to see
you
it.
know, I can't wait to see. I hope this goes long enough where you see him become like some kind of king or
Yeah.
something in that land.
Very, very Conan turning into King Conan kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah. All right, so I've got Batman Superman World's Finest number 39. This is part 4 of the We Are Yesterday crossover between this book and Justice League Unlimited. At the end of the last part, which I think was in the annual for this, we saw the young Dick Grayson from the World's Finest book appearing in present day, and that picks up right where that left off. Where current day Batman and Superman and Nightwing all of a sudden have younger Dick Grayson in front of them, and they're weirded out by that, and this causes havoc with the time stream. And I
And
don't want.
Batman at first is like, Dick Grayson, you're back. And like Nightwing's there, he's like, yeah. And he's like, wait, you've never disappeared. You're
Yeah,
here. It's like the time streams are in even Batman's brain are getting kind
yeah.
of
He
merged.
has
And
memories of both, of like Robin always being there, but also disappearing, and
yeah,
it's kind of weird. So yeah, it causes havoc with the time stream, and I don't want to give specifics, but I will say that various characters from the past and present swap places. So we do get some great action between Superman and Batman and the classic Legion of Doom, which have come from the past into the present day, and it's just a lot of fun. I have a note that says, I'm not sure that this story is quite hitting as big as DC originally advertised it, but it is really fun. It feels like a really fun Silver Age book where you just don't. It's kind of wacky, but not in like a slapsticky way. You just never really know what's going to happen. So I'm having a blast with it still, and we've already read the next part of it as well. There's actually something pretty crazy that happens at the end of the next part that I
really.
wonder if that might end up spreading out into the larger DC
Yes.
universe. So it's still been a very, very fun story, very wacky, very zany. It's cool to see like older versions of characters and that kind of thing. So I
Oh,
enjoyed it.
the Silver Age version of Superman realizing some of the stuff in the
Right?
present is
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah, it's great. So we have our A cover right here. This awesome cover by Dan Mora, and we have this 1 in 25 AJ L Kaplan that we're selling for 19.99.
Next up, another one of my favorite books coming out, Zatanna, issue number 4. And this one is really fun because Zatanna's been through a lot the last few
Oh yeah.
issues with, feeling now guilty of her friend Adam getting killed, feeling guilty about bringing Blue Devil into what's going on, and then basically can't help him, and he's getting uh, kind of drained of his life. And what is happening with Clayface. What happened to Clayface? Where Clayface had this kind of like ideal world he was living in with his
Yeah.
family, and she kind of ruined that. Clayface in this is really fun too. He almost
Mhm.
reminded me of like an Earthworm Jim type
Right, right.
because he's only just a little string of mud and an eyeball left. But yeah, so Zatanna's feeling pretty down about everything that's going on. But something that one of her friends says sparks an idea in her that is going to lead to some big stuff for Zatanna and some revelations about what has been going on this entire time. And yeah, it's going to get really good, especially the last page in this is beautiful but also crazy
Mhm.
and magic-y and all of that. Just really beautiful book, really fun story, and I can't wait to see more of it. So that is Zatanna number 4. That is your A cover. We have this Ben Oliver variant. And Zatanna does more stage magic in this with
Yeah.
pulling stuff out of her hat and stuff that's really fun. And we have this Mercado variant as well.
All right, so spoiler alert, the rest of mine for the rest of the show are One World Under Doom tie-ins. This one is Thunderbolts Doomstrike number 5. We just got number 4 last week, and now number 5, and this is the last issue in this series. And this is the final showdown between Bucky's Thunderbolts and the original Thunderbolts who were working with Doom. I can't really tell you too much about this because it's the last issue. I don't want to spoil the whole finale. But I will say that something pretty major happens at the end of this that could and probably should have major ramifications for the entire One World Under Doom storyline. But it's weird that it's happening now because the main story is. I don't think we're even at the halfway point in the main book yet. But there's something at the end of this that could maybe be the linchpin for how the heroes bring down Doom if they do. I'm
Do you
assuming
think
they
this
do.
line? Do you Can you tell what issue you feel this lines up with?
No, I can't
It feels
really.
like something later down the line.
It feels like it feels like this should have come out when like One World Under Doom number 7 came out,
Mm.
maybe. So we'll have to wait and see if what happens in this spills into the mainline story, and then if the mainline story kind of adapts from that. I don't know, but it's a pretty big deal that happens. So I liked it. Like I said, it's the final issue of the series, but this was probably my favorite of all the tie-ins. So this is our A cover right here, and we have this really cool Talavera Black Widow variant. That is awesome. I like that a lot.
Next up for me, I've got Star Wars Legacy of Vader #4 continues Kylo Ren's kind of quest to better understand his grandfather, Darth Vader, and learning stuff about him uh, that Kylo always had like this idealized version of Vader, this thing he wanted to be, but kind of disregarded the human side of Vader, the Anakin or whatever. But he's learning a lot in this. So Kylo heads to Naboo, which he kind of wonders why are we here. But Vinay, his kind of Virgil on this quest, says this is also a very important location in the shaping of Vader because this is where he learned about loss and attachment and all that. Naboo at this point once was beautiful and lush, like we saw in the prequel trilogy and all of that. But since the Empire came, even though this was the home place of Palpatine, and they kind of treated it as such, it wasn't really they the Empire didn't like mess with it. But even because of that, it really suffered at the hands of crime and all of that. So it's not as pretty as it once was. And Kylo soon, after a confrontation with a local landowner, learns that he may have turned the eyes of one of the biggest, most dangerous families on Naboo towards him. And you'll have to see what he does about it. But Kylo makes a pretty big declaration at the end of this issue that is going to be interesting to see how he follows through on, or if it even works out at all. But a great issue of Legacy of Vader with more great kind of in-depth look at of Vader as well as Kylo and what makes them who they are. So there is your A cover. We also have this beautiful, very like movie poster Aspinall
Oh, that's nice.
variant. And we also have our Sprouse Force Awakens anniversary cover. This is part 3 of our 10-part cover series.
Well, I've got Superior Avengers #2, another One World Under Doom tie-in, and this issue gives us a little bit more insight into what the true goal of these characters is, and what they're trying to do is find any item or person who possesses magical energy, and they're trying to drain that energy from whoever or whatever it is to power something called the Arcane Warhead, and I don't really know what that is yet, but it looks cool. It looks like this big like engine that they've got hidden away, and they're basically like charging it up with all this any magical energy that they can get. We do get a flashback, or I guess it's actually more of a flash forward of when this group killed Doom in the future of their universe because they're from an alternate universe. But it didn't quite yield the results that they had hoped when they did it over there. So I guess they're going to try it again with the Doom in this world. I didn't love this issue quite as much as the first one, but I am still very, very interested in this team and what their true goals are because on the surface they are all about serving Doom and carrying out his agenda, but behind the scenes they are plotting to take him down. I think that's really good. It's funny because this event has so many different um, groups of characters who have all these different plots to take down Doom, and I can't wait to see which one wins
They're all
out.
going to get in each other's way.
That's
some
right.
point.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so the second issue is out. I really, this was still a really good tie-in. I'm enjoying this so far. So we have our A cover right here. We got this Kyle Hotz variant with this alternate universe abomination. And we have the Alex Ross Timeless variant featuring Yellow Jacket, who does not appear in this, but that's a really cool cover.
Next up, I've got a new #1 with Ghostbusters Dead Man's Chest #1. I believe this is just going to be a mini series by David M. Booher and art by Aviv Orr. And this is set kind of in your current Ghostbusters universe with your new cast from Afterlife and all of that. So the fun part is it starts off in a art museum where the Ghostbusters are being very judgmental about the art that's in this museum. And this ghost there of kind of a painter ghost or an artist ghost is bringing some of these statues and stuff to life, and the Ghostbusters are having to fight those and everything. That's kind of your cold open, but it's quite a bit of the issue that's really fun. We also have another story going on in here where Trevor is trying to plan a friend anniversary for everybody because I think he says it's been 8 months since the original movie or something
Oh,
like
okay.
that. The first of the new ones. And then also Phoebe makes a new friend at school who a lot of the people who want to be her friend kind of are clout chasing because of
Oh,
all the events and
yeah.
all of that. But she meets someone who might actually be a genuine friend, only to learn that that friend may be in possession of an ancient pirate saber that, when invoked, can unleash the ghost of Captain Kidd. And that's kind of where our ghost ship and all of that stuff is going to start. So, fun first issue. If you are a Ghostbusters fan, you'll definitely want to check this one out. The Paul Rudd in this is really good. He's
Okay.
got a lot of his fun jokes and everything. So yeah, a fun Ghostbusters first issue with this one, and this is the only cover I have to show.
All right, I've got Fantastic Four number 32. This is the next to last issue in this run before the new one starts in July. Still written by Ryan North, and the art is by Humberto Ramos. That starts a couple months from now. But in this one, the time travel shenanigans that the Fantastic Four got up to at the end of last issue. Well, at the end of last issue, we saw that they ceased to exist, at least as a family of superheroes anyway. However, Valeria's mind persisted into the new reality that was created. And so when she gets there, she's a genius, right? She immediately starts researching this new world that she finds herself in, and she goes out to some familiar faces to get some help getting back home. Some of those faces agree to help, and some don't. And I don't want to tell you too much more because there is a big surprise in here that is absolutely bonkers in the best way possible. It's so cool to see. And I will say that everything does get resolved in this issue, but I wouldn't have minded if this issue had kind of like spun out into a mini series or something of Valeria in this new world with this new status quo and everything. Like it was really cool. So yeah, a bonkers issue of Fantastic Four. The whole series has been like this, but in a good way. Like it's been a whole lot of fun. So yeah, I recommend it. Don't miss this if you've been buying the series. There's this and one more left, so don't miss out. There's our A cover right there, and we have our Alex Ross Timeless variant featuring Ant Man.
And you get Ant Man and Yellow Jacket in the same
Yeah,
week.
that's right.
Next up, I've got New Gods issue number 6. This is the halfway mark for New Gods. This is a very different issue because this one it mostly revolves around Black Racer, who is essentially death for the New
Mm-hmm.
Gods. Um, and he's not a bad guy. He's kind of unlike Thanos says, inevitability.
Yeah.
But he is kind of like I think he talks about like I hate when people run from me because like I'm not here to you know I'm not here maliciously or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but because of what happened to Light Ray in the previous issue, it has a lot to do with that and kind of the space that Black Racer inhabits and what's going on there, which I don't that part was very kind of ethereal and
Yeah.
weird, and even the art style was so kind of painterly, scratchy, all of that that sometimes it's hard to figure out what's going on. But it was fitting for the kind of surrealness of this character. But at the end, we do cut back to what's going on, especially where we saw Superman at the end of the last issue and what's going on there, which uh, with Orion chasing Mr. Miracle and Barda and this new godchild, um, what's going on there might have to take a backseat to something else that is going on
Yeah.
that is really interesting. So I would say this actually has some really good Justice League moments in
Oh my
it.
gosh, the last like 3 or 4 pages of this are phenomenal, and they
Yeah,
look beautiful. Like I hope the next issue is all
yeah,
that. That
yeah.
was great.
Yeah, so really fun issue, but very weird.
Hmm.
It might take me another reading to understand everything going on. So there is your A cover. We also have this. Fimuara variant. And we have this Andrade cover, which that's what a lot of the Black Racer parts look like.
All right, and my last one is Iron Man number 8, and this is another One World Under Doom tie-in. And this story arc that is tied into One World Under Doom has been about Tony trying to take down Doom from the inside by supplying weapons to a liberation group that's inside of Latveria. It's a pretty cool story. It's a pretty risky plan by Tony. Black Widow has been constantly trying to talk him out of doing it. However, I will say this issue is a bit weird because almost the whole thing is Tony just trying to negotiate with the Union at the plant of his that is actually manufacturing these weapons. So it's, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's not that exciting of a story. It's just like Tony and this other guy negotiating about, Tony's like, we've got to get these weapons need to get manufactured and get out. They have to be shipped to Latveria because that's part of his plan. He's got to get these weapons to Latveria. But the head of the union's like, no, we want better working conditions and this and that. And a lot of the issue is just them negotiating. So it's a little bit of a weird issue. Like it feels kind of real. Like Tony probably would have to deal with this kind of thing, but it didn't really push the story forward at all, and just seemed like a little bit of a filler issue. So like this right here doesn't happen at all. Like nothing as exciting as this happens. But I still want to see if Tony's plan works or whatever. So I'll check out
another plan.
Yeah,
to
right.
Stop Doom.
Exactly. So I want to see if it works. I'll check out the next issue, but this one was a little bit weird for me. But we have our A cover right here, and we have the Alex Ross Timeless variant to go with it.
And last one for me is one that I did not get to read in full. I did skim through it, and it looked like a lot of fun. This is Robo Wolf #1. This is by Jake Smith, who writes and draws it. And if I could say anything, this is like it's crazy neon. It's kind of like Sunset Overdrive, that game. It's a little bit of GTA. It almost feels like an Adult Swim cartoon. It literally has this Robo Wolf as this character in here. Some of the other weird creature characters in it. A lot of really fun, bright, vivid art. Tons of action. So if that sounds like, if you like this cover, that's what the interior looks like all the way through. And you will probably really enjoy it. But I did not get a chance to read it as much as I wanted to. But that is my last one for this week as well. And it's just that one cover. So it's a big week.
Yep.
A lot of books, a lot of big books, a lot of fun ones. So thank you for watching. Head over to infinityflux.net where you can order these books while supplies last, so you don't miss out on any of these when they are released on Wednesdays to stores and everything. You'll have yours set aside for you, ready to go. And remember to check out all of our other fun shows. We will have our next one on Wednesday where we'll be going over books that you can pre-order by the weekend. And we've already taken a glimpse at that, and there are some very big ones coming up on that order, so that'll be really fun to talk about. Make sure to like and subscribe, all that fun stuff, so you never miss one of our videos. If you love comics, make sure to subscribe, and we will know that you are one of us. Let us know in the comments what you're most excited to read this week. We love to hear your thoughts about comics and ideas and what you're loving and all of that good stuff. So until next time,
See ya.
See ya.